Welcome back. And of course, this is still the morning brief right here on Channels Television. So our next segment is about something very sensitive, something very important, and it is about autism. There are lots of misconceptions about autism, and it has even evolved over the years in diagnosing it, in treating it, in managing it. So today on the show, we have Ms. Eziafakaku Nwokolo, founder of the NGO Shades of Life Foundation, and she is planning a bicycle riding for this cause to create awareness around autism. She's riding from Lagos to Accra for autism. Well, that is a very big, I don't know how. And you'll be using a bicycle.
Yes, 2 wheels. It has
wheels,
2 tires,
two tires,
and some spokes in it.
No engine, no battery.
No engine, no battery.
None at all.
You are the fuel, you're the battery.
The fuel, my legs are the engine, whatever, just keep moving.
Oh, well, but that's a powerful name first, Eziafakaku, which means a lot. Now, anyone would want to know, how did this even start? What inspired it? Was it a story, personal experience, a story? I'm sure there's a story behind this.
Yes. So I have a 23-year-old who's on the spectrum. She's brilliant and has gone through life. But prior to knowing that she was on the spectrum, when she was just approaching her 3rd birthday, I realized that there were some gaps and differences between her and the older ones and the younger ones in terms of her behavior, use of language generally. And so, not having a clue, went to the hospital. I was talking to colleagues at the time. I was still working. And they were like, Eziafa, while we're praying, you just face the hospital. And my husband and I had no clue. Okay. And so we got the big word autism. So you can imagine me thinking, okay, in a climb, when you've waited to have a child, and then you have this bundle of joy that now has other issues, it becomes mind-boggling. So anyway, fast forward, we're getting intervention. A couple of other parents and myself will bring help in, will travel, but it just wasn't cutting it. We had people in the country doing what they could as well. But after a while, I just thought, you know what? I'm not really feeling it. I think there's more that can be done. So I retired from my 9-to-5 10 years ago and just went into the field of just learning, equipping myself, equipping others so that we can provide service. And so out of that was born Shades of Life, the Limited. And when we started working with individuals, we would see that there were a couple of people who would start and then drop off. And upon further inquiry, it would be lack of resources, and there are even people that wouldn't start. And so again, we formed the foundation. So the core of a foundation is doing exactly what we do, the Limited, assessments, diagnosis, training for parents, teachers, communities, but FOC.
Amazing. It's just brilliant. And I'd like to maybe get a bit personal with this question. I mean, you said having waited for some time, you have a bundle of joy and this happens and you're like, come on, why me? Do you ever feel, and I'd like you to encourage people out there, that's the point of this conversation as well. Have you ever felt life is unfair to me? And how did you maybe find your way out of that? Because a lot of people thinking, why me? I mean, it's enough to be in Nigeria, right? And then I have these things piled on me. So how did that ever happen to you? Did you ever have to deal with that? And how did you come out of it?
Yeah, I recall in the early years, I mean, I was like, after the diagnosis was given, for 1 whole year, I didn't pray. I didn't talk to God, so I was fighting with him, basically, if it was possible to do that. But I just didn't communicate because I was in that place of, okay, what's all of this? How do we move forward? What am I supposed to do with this whole thing? And I recall a time when we traveled, because she also had feeding issues at the time. I was trying to feed the younger one and feed her simultaneously, and this child was just not eating. I didn't realize that I actually let out a scream at that point, because all the frustration or something, I actually screamed. How did I realize? My brother-in-law was around, and when he came, he just didn't say anything. When he came back from work, he just turned to me and said, "Do you feel better?" And I just, I was like, "Yes, I do." So I find parents, we go through that phase where, but what I've always said, maybe everybody isn't like me. My faith plays a great role. But beyond praying, I always say you've got to meet your challenges head on. If you don't accept what's there, no matter what it is that you're going through, you have to come to a place of acceptance. But then turn that around into something that you empower yourself with to deal with whatever is going on. Does it make sense?
Yes, it does.
No self-pity, no pity party. Of course, today, I had a moment of, oh gosh, this child, Last week, I had a moment of where I was almost going to cry because something happened. And I'm like, oh, damn you, autism, But, hey, I'm human. But I don't stay down. I don't.
For those who find it difficult not to be able to rise to your level.
Okay.
You stayed for 1 year without praying.
Yeah.
Some may have been in perpetual anger and disgust. Mm-hmm. Where do you start from to talk to those people?
So that's why part of what we do, because in the foundation, is just provide that counseling. We look at such people and we know that they are not there yet. Some may even appear to be there, but not quite, in terms of, so like you say, they've not moved on. We take on, first of all, our focus is on the child. So we want to relieve the added burden by taking on the responsibility of catering to the child and then walking them, meeting them where they are. If today all they see is one small tooth, we work with the tooth. If tomorrow you put one foot forward, we work with you. We just meet them where they are. And counseling is so crucial. So I have a team of psychologists and, behavior analysts and everything. And we actually sit down and have one-on-one. Some get it after a while. Some don't. Some, it still takes them months. I have a recent diagnosis, if there's any word like that, an adult. And I haven't had a conversation with the mom because she's still trying to understand what she's just been told. Do you understand? So we just keep meeting them at their level. You can't force them.
Which brings me to my next question. I know that at the University of Kent, you did a research, or your thesis was about screening for autism and intellectual disabilities amongst the Nigerian adolescent population. So we want to ask, what are the early signs of autism? You said you found out at 3 years old when she was 3. A lot of people don't even find out until 10, 11, 12, and it has already created a great challenge for them over the years. So they didn't get that early, which would affect their education and affect every other thing around them, especially dealing with society also. So what are the early signs of autism for those listening who have probably seen some of the signs in their children and how to deal with it? Are there also therapies that can help deal with this problem?
Very good question. So when I was doing my study, people wondered why I focus on adolescents, but it's to address this same question. So in the early years, you have signs such as what we call red flags, basically. They may not be attending. They may not maintain the simplest on eye contact. One of the most interesting ones is a response to name. So I'm calling Eziafa, and Eziafa isn't turning. I'm in a world of my own, right? The only way to get my attention would be to walk up to me, either touch me or offer me something. So you've paired my name with a verb, something I like. And so when you have some of this, or you see them on their own, so we're all together, and I'm in my little corner doing my own thing. So these are all signs. Those that don't speak, the non-vocals, that could also be a sign. But you see, sometimes people confuse that with just simple lack of speech. But all these are symptoms. Now, when you have those that are vocal, that can speak and integrate and have some social skills, so to say, it becomes more challenging. So those are the ones that they would send off to school. They would integrate semi-nicely. But in the midst of others, they're still not optimal. They're not functioning optimally. And so those are more likely to be missed. But what we look out for in adolescence no longer is the response to name or eye contact. We're now looking at their social skills, because they would have some impairment in social skills and social integration. Even when you're diagnosing adults, we no longer look for the eye contact and things. It's more about the social elements, okay? So when I did that study, it was, like I said, to address this. And a lot of some of the things that I found was exactly what we're looking for. People that were in school settings that the environment had labeled as being stubborn, being difficult, being restless, all sorts of words that you hear out there. I've been telling you this thing from Monday through Friday, day in, day out, and you're not responding. You don't get it. So these are some of the signs that you would see in older children and adults. Not because they are being deliberate, but they just don't understand what we're saying.
And this conversation is really important. First, we don't have data, as we ought to, about autism in Nigeria, at least up to date kind of data. 2014 report puts it at 2.3% for prevalence, and also clearly we can do a lot more. But let me come back to you, because you're doing a lot more. You're not just doing research about this, you're not just being an amazing parent. You now want to cycle from Lagos to Accra, Ghana.
Say you don't want to cycle.
I mean, you have enough on your plate. So what you do is like, you know what, let me order more, I can do more. So talk to us about what you're about to do, the preparation that's gone into it. This is your Olympics, by the way. And I would trust you to win that gold medal for us.
We will.
So talk to us about what you're about to do and the idea behind it.
Okay, so like 3 years ago, I belong to a cycling club as well. I do all sorts. I just thought, I can use my bicycle to preach the gospel of autism, okay? So I started what I called Ride for Autism. And we did the first one in Lagos, post-COVID, maybe 20, 50 cyclists. And then we had the second edition, a lot more people. And then the one we had this year, the third edition, I co-opted another club, cycling club. And we had a turnout of about 100. I'm like, Beautiful. And in doing this, I would get either parents or people on the spectrum to come and have the conversation and just, tell the masses. And in doing this, I've found that a lot of people that thought they knew what autism was have gone, it's not what I thought. Because autism is a hidden disability. It's not like having a physical one where once they see you, they know that this person has an issue.
And there's a spectrum as well. So
Exactly.
It can be at different points.
Different.
Yeah.
There's a popular voiceover, the first African voiceover fellow in Nigeria, Remy, who is our friend, who's autistic, but nobody knows. Okay, he doesn't hide his, so I can, I've had him speak at one of the events, because after the ride, we sit down and have the debrief. And this time, I thought, okay, I have a friend in Ghana who's been doing play for autism. Last year, I was going to write down, but things didn't quite go as planned. So this year, we started on time. And I thought, okay, I think I'm crazy enough to do this. And I have a couple of other crazy fellows, so will be 11 of us, who are like, let's do this. So we're going to start off in Maryland, ride all the way to Accra, probably have 2 stops. The first, they were aiming to do over 200 kilometers. And
the
first day we'll do about 200.
So where will 200 kilometers take you to?
So 200 kilometers from Maryland will get us to Grand Popo in Benin. So we'll be at the border of Togo and Ghana. And then the second day, we'll enter Ghana, but we're not going to be in Accra. We'll be in Sago, Kope, or whatever they call that city. And then that's about 150. And then we'll do another 100 and something to get us into Accra.
3 days.
Yeah, but on the return, we're going to do it in 2 days.
Ooh.
So the first day on the return, we'll be doing about 250 kilometers.
That's a stretch.
Yes. So that'll be from Accra to the Grand Popo.
Right.
And then from Grand Popo into Lagos.
Will funds be raised? What are you trying to generate from all this, besides the awareness?
So the plan is to raise about 20 million.
20 million what, naira?
Naira, yes. Okay. We can have more if we have generous...
dollars too.
Yeah, dollars, generous donors. We're not picky. Any currency will do, we'll convert it. And what we aim to do with the fund is assess, diagnose more families, more children. Because part of what we did this year with the Right for Autism is to offer free assessments, free screening. And in doing so, I realized that we can't just stop at screening. You know, it doesn't make sense. So you have the paper that says you're likely to be autistic or whatever. Then what happens, right? So we went all the way to diagnosis, and to complete the chain from screening to diagnosis and training a parent of an autistic individual was about 1 million naira for one person. And we did about 18 families. So I'm thinking, okay, if we can do 10 again, and then the other one would be to train teachers, because we've also done some training for Lagos State teachers, the counselors at secondary school level, over 500 of them. Do you understand? So this would also help us train teachers.
So when are you starting?
The ride?
Yeah, the ride.
August 20th.
Can we join?
Please.
We donate on behalf of the team.
All right, but since we're I like to travel, but not on a bicycle now.
Okay, we'll put you in the car.
Thank you.
You'll be handing us water.
I'll do that one. But anyway, just before you go, because this is a very challenging issue, what would you be telling that audience watching you right now who has an autistic child, or a teacher who's finding it very difficult or frustrated about autism or neurodiversity?
Please don't give up hope. We're here to help you. Just reach out to us and we can take the conversation further.
All right. Thank you very much. She is a bicycle rider for a cause for autism, and she's riding from Lagos to Accra, and we definitely have our support.
Don't taste the jollof.
Don't start with that.
Don't taste the jollof.
Okay, I'll go with our jollof.
Thank you. Go with our jollof and share it out. But thank you very much for doing this. It's a great cause, and we wish you the very best. And also, please stay safe.
Thank you very much.
Eziafakaku. I love that name. That's why I'm really taking time. Let me represent my Igbo people. All right. Thank you so much for doing this, and thank you for coming. Okay. I guess that's where we end the morning brief for today. It's been amazing, fantastic. Please stay safe, and whatever you do, make people around you happy. Thank you for watching. I'm Anne Nwawadu.
Wish you the very best for the rest of the day and the week. Sunrise Daily is up next. I'm Jeffrey Uzama.
One question before we go. What are you living for? Find an answer to that and have a fantastic day ahead. I'm Kayode Kikiole. Goodbye.